What's up guys, welcome to Wasted Space, and we're back in Space Engineers, and with what is probably going to be the final video based off that whole cable car, subway train kind of technique using the wheels and the pistons. So as you can see, just arriving into the station in front of me is the last edition, which is a completely unmanned version of a cargo transport. So if I run up here, imagine this to be a mining platform of ours. We've got a miner here just fresh back from mining this asteroid above. And I'm just going to jump in here and eject its cargo. So you drop that out there, and as it does so, if we go back down here, we'll be able to see that this is actually now being fed straight back out and dropping down into this here collector. Now, unfortunately, it's not quite lined up right. I need to make it stop slightly before the end rather than actually at the end, and every time I fiddle with the sensor's range, it seems to stop in the same place anyway. I don't know why. It's slightly unreliable in that respect, but only one piece of ore lost. And what this is doing is obviously feeding into there, and now the sensor has turned it off and it's about to head back off to the other end. So while it does that and goes and drops off its load, we can have a look at this version out here, and I'll go a little bit into how I went about making it. Now, much like the other designs, although I did have to build this one from scratch, it's based off the idea of having a bunch of pistons and wheels around to clamp it and sort of compression fit it into the tunnel. So if I go and grab those pistons and reverse them, this is what it was looking like when I actually built the thing. And as you can see, this is really starting to get towards the smallest you can possibly build one of these. Just because of the wheels and the pistons, you can see I really don't have much space left on this. So I did try building a smaller one. It has a few flaws, not just the wheels, meaning that it needs to be very, very long in order to fit them in, so it gets a bit silly, but also for this cargo transport system to work, you need a collector on one end and a connector on the other one. And these are this big, regardless of what size ship you're building them on. So that kind of limits the central size of the ship regardless. So this has a core line there of medium cargo containers, and they're all hooked together, literally with a collector on one end and a connector on the other. And if I run around and jump into the control panel, I can show a little bit about the rest of it. So like with the previous design I've been using, this has that front and rear sensor response, which when they see the ends of the tunnel, turn off the thrusters and then start a timer, getting ready where it waits for a minute and then just turns the thrusters on in the other direction. Very straightforward. This one, however, has now got an extra timer block. So if we go down, these are the forward timer, reverse timers, obviously the ones that wait for a minute and then send it back the other direction. But we also now have these throw out arrival response and throw out depart. So basically what this does is this ties into that same sensor on the front, and it will turn the connector on it and make it throw out, and then also start a timer that will wait for 55 seconds, so it leaves a bit of leeway so the items have transferred properly before it leaves the station. And then it will turn this back off again. So that other timer, literally just 55 seconds, turns that connector back off again. And then we have a duplicate of that on this station here. So sort of flip side, sensor on the ceiling up there, and then this connector, once that sensor sees that the train is in the station, will tell this to throw out. So I'm pretty sure we're still going to have some cargo left in our cargo container. Let's have a look. So much stuff. Yes, we've still got plenty to throw out, so let's wait for it to come back up on its journey, and then we'll follow it down. And the idea behind this is basically, you could build a huge tunnel system the whole way along, but isn't this just cooler? It doesn't have a proper practical purpose, I will admit. It may be, I haven't done the calculations, maybe it's cheaper to build this track thing here, which is all you'll need once you're set up, than it is to build an entire line of sort of conveyor system. Maybe I'd need to do the maths on it, but yeah, the only bit I haven't mentioned is that down under here, and this is only on this end of things, we have a gravity generator, and it's on its side, very specific field width, so that we don't interfere with anything going on over there. But this simply kind of helps the items to arrive properly into the ejector, otherwise they float around quite a bit and can collide with each other and so on. So it's now unloading its next load again. Looks like it's actually stopped, as I said, in a slightly different place this time. It's slightly further forward, so we're not losing any. I don't know why it does that. That's really annoying. It's something to do with the way inertial dampers works, but yeah, it does seem to start in a slightly different place, stop in a slightly different place every time. But it's now going to load up on that ore and for some reason doesn't want to pick up this tiny little piece here. What's wrong with that bit, eh? Huh? Alright, I'll get that bit then. I'll take that bit for you. Oh, and yeah, if anyone wonders, the buttons on the side for when I was building it, they literally just make it go in a direction. You kind of, if it's stopped, you need those buttons in order to start it back off again. If we now jump down to this other end, I'll show you very, very quickly what's at this end of things as well, because this is quite a straightforward setup, which is literally just those two timer blocks are actually the timer blocks that control the other end of the line. They're here because originally I wanted to do this using connectors, so no throw out, sort of this messiness, old school way of doing it, but by actually locking the connectors together, moving the cargo, and then unlocking them again and letting the train go back. Problem is, it seems there's no way to make cargo go the direction you want it to once it's locked together. There's a push-pull system behind it all that makes things move around, but there's nothing in this scenario that makes it want to offload from the mining trolley into the cargo. So it just turns up, connects, nothing much happens, and then it unlocks and goes back in the other direction again. If anyone's got any solutions to that, I'd love to hear those. But yeah, so those timer blocks are actually controlling the other end now, and then this is just hooked up to a collector here and a bunch of cargo, and that is it. So same thing is going to happen at this end as happened at the other end. The sensor's going to detect. The only difference here is the timers are on board the little ship now, so this thing is going to spot the end using that sensor, and then the extra set of timers, which is why it's got 6 on it, are going to start the throw out the front of the ship. So let's just see as it shows up, and again this one seems to stop slightly random positions at this end, but there you go, those little puffs are it throwing out. And this end, you'll never have that problem with things backing up and missing, because you've got a small ship connector throwing out into a large ship / station collector, so those things can take way more. So it's only ever seems to be a slight inconsistency on the other end of things, and I have to be honest, that was the first time it's ever done it to me. It had to be when I was recording. But anyway, there we go. Hope you enjoyed this one, guys. It's kind of the last, as I said, I'm going to look at this thing. I think I'm going to move on to looking at gravity from now on, because that seems to be a nice efficient way of doing things that doesn't require you to build big tracks everywhere. So that's where we'll be going from here. If you found this one interesting, enjoyable, obviously it's up on the workshop as it always is. Please come and check it out firsthand. Definitely help you sort of understand how it all works a bit better. Please consider hitting that like button if you found it enjoyable at all, and maybe even subscribe. Really helps me and the channel out. So thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I will catch you next time.